Hi, this is Pastor Deborah Curry here with Repairers of the Breach Broadcast Podcast. We praise God that you're taking the time to listen to me, and I pray that the words that I give you or the host words that come before you would enlighten, enhance, anoint everything God can allow for you to have. I pray that you receive.
Hello, all. My name is Trina Marie Ruffin, and I'm going to be sitting in for Pastor Deborah Curry. And today on Repairs of the Breach, I wanted to talk about the pros and cons with reentry. I'm in the state of Massachusetts, and one of the things that we've been having issues with is reentry, and does it really work for the population that is catered to, or is structured for? Excuse me. So what I did was, in the last 6 months, I decided to get with a couple of people in the Massachusetts area, and we wanted to find out exactly how does reentry help the person, whether it's female or male, coming from federal or state prison level, but just re-entering back into population, re-entering back into, maybe if you're a youth, you might be re-entering back into school, you might re-enter back into the community, or re-enter back into your household. You haven't seen your family in a while. So those are some of the things that we had took into play, and we wanted to revise or look at the re-entry program and see where we can fill in the gaps. So tonight on the show, and I want to let you guys know, it's going to be a two-part show. So we're going to actually continue this next Saturday. But what I wanted to focus on today was I have a guest by the name of Thomas White. And Mr. White's going to join me later on towards the podcast. But he talks about how he has done a long period of time in the prison institution, and he'll actually give you more details. But he also talks about he has taken a reentry program and how it has helped him, but also how it has not helped him in the areas that was truly needed, such as housing, such as getting mental health issues situated, or even just having issues with, public assistance, just trying to get basic things that society says once you do your time, that you're required, you can come back out and have access to general population services once you finish doing your time for your crime. So what we want to talk about is that from the research, reentry, from the research that I have done with my team in the last 6 months, has not worked. And the reason why I'll say it is not working, and I'll bring people on during the podcast to kind of get their story, those now it worked for and those that it haven't worked for. But my thing was that it's not that the program structure doesn't work for the people. It's mainly the time framing. And so what I noticed was that to give someone a chance to come back out into population, 6 months to a year was not enough time to get them ready. And so from the research and stats, and we talking to other people, and I'll tell you about a project that I did with an inmate, but re-entry looks like it can take up to 3 years. So we're saying if it's possible, can we get a program structured for the re-entry process to start at least 3 years before we release the population? And we figure if a person has the qualities and the equipment and the tools and resources set up 3 years before being released, they have a better chance of surviving in society, instead of just giving them 6 months to 1 year. And we know in that time frame that is not enough time to get them adequate housing. Possibly sometimes you might be able to get employment, but maybe not. But we know it's the main things: housing, possibly getting continuing education or education in general. So there were some things that we felt that should be taken care of years ahead of time before they're released. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring on Thomas White. He's going to be my guest, and he's going to get in more details about his history from being involved with crime, and then him doing his time, and he'll tell you a little bit more about how many years he's done, but also what he's looking to do now and how he did use some pros of the reentry to help him. But he also found out that there were some cons to the reentry program here in Massachusetts that just didn't work for him. So I want to take a break, and I'll be back, and we'll bring Thomas White on. Thank you. is Trina Marie Ruffin, and I'm with Repairs of the Breach podcast. And as I spoke earlier, we talked about the pros and cons when it comes to the reentry program, not just in Massachusetts, but we feel like the reentry program in general. But what I did mention earlier is that we was going to bring on a guest. His name is Mr. Thomas White, and he's with Universal Common Ground,
Inc.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm a little nervous, so this is, Thomas is going to work with me and get me through this. But he wants to, we're going to talk about together about the reentry program and his story, and if it worked for him and what areas it did work and what areas it hasn't worked for him. And he wants to also discuss about how it can work in the future if we do a little tweaking. And one of the things he talks about is the grassroots coming together, and making sure that we come together and unionize to make it better for the population when it comes to reentry. So I like to say thank you so much, Mr. Thomas White. Welcome to Repairs of Breach.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mr. White, I want you to just give everybody just a little backdrop of why you're incarcerated, but a little backdrop about your history with incarceration and how you led to getting into the program, the reentry program, and the pros and cons that affected you or what worked for you.
All right. Well, I was incarcerated for 21 years and 10 months. When I was close to a year to coming home, they started like a pre-release program where they give you pamphlets and stuff for contact information and things of that nature. So when I got home to the halfway house, I started to do some follow-ups. And I ran into a few brick walls because some of the information was outdated and other information offered limited resources.
Okay.
And some things that was offered, there was no follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what are some of the resources? I'm sorry. What are some of the resources that they offered when you got out? What do they give you? What do they offer you to help you, kind of balance out, or at least give you a foundation to work with?
Well, they connect you with an agency to get you a cell phone. They connect you with an agency to get clothes for job interviews. They connect you to an agency to get a bus pass. In doing all of this, mind you, I've been gone 21 years. So I get the bus pass, I go to the train station, I don't even know how to use the bus pass. I stood there for like maybe 5 minutes fiddling around trying to figure it out. The lady in the booth came out and assisted me. And I said, I'm sorry, I just came home. I don't know how to do this. She said, well, baby, this is how you do it, but just come on through here. Because she seen me and she felt like a little embarrassed for me, like, dude, you don't know how to use a bus pass? Come to find out, all I had to do was tap it.
Wow, okay. So I want to talk about how you took the reentry program and the services and that you've seen some gaps in between, but you decided you wanted to take challenge and fill the gaps in by creating programs or utilizing your tools to educate other people about creating programs. But I want to talk about your program that you have going on. And in addition to talk about your program, I wanted you to talk about how did the reentry program help you get to the point where you was able to start your own foundation, and what are the type of services that you offer through your foundation?
Well, first of all, I went through a reentry program. I ended up co-managing the same reentry program, and I seen some things work for some and not for others because some people just have one set format. So it may benefit me to take 3 of the 5 programs and somebody else 1 or 2. So I started to look for other things to help myself. And that's when I really got into it, and I started co-managing the program. And I met a few people, and I started to use the resources for myself as I helped everybody else get through, because it's a difference for every individual going through reentry.
That's true.
Everything that you may have in play doesn't work for everybody. So some people never really receive the true resources they need to properly re-enter society. Because when you re-enter society, you re-enter everyone's lives all over again, your children's, your parents,
That's right.
live. So giving me a bus pass, a suit, and a cell phone really doesn't help me to understand the mental health aspect of me being gone for so long.
That's right. And that's what I wanted the public to understand. And that's why me and you are talking, because there's a big gap. Just from hearing your story, you were, you did your time, you were released, they gave you some tools, a suit, or so forth, but there was nothing to kind of fill in that empty space of how do I utilize this? I mean, common sense said, put a suit on and go get a job. But wait a minute, I need certain tools, a resume. I might have to even be taught how to have an interview or how to even do job search. Because nowadays, job searching is more of an internet process instead of in person. Can you tell everyone how was it when you came out after doing your program release, but looking for employment and maybe not having the tools, maybe having the tools? I mean, you tell me, because I noticed that you talked about earlier, and we're going to touch on that, how your program is helping people that was kind of in a gap moment when you were doing it. You're kind of filling the gap by passing it down. So tell me a little bit about that. Excuse me.
Well, I've been doing a lot of community service and meeting people. So I do it, most of it through Cross Connect. When I see people that need resources and I know of the resources, I put them in a network and I introduce them to the resources and the people that's offering them. Because a lot of people, for different reasons, can't get to these areas to find these resources. Some don't even know they exist.
That's true.
So what I do is I go out and I bring the resources to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's populations of homeless men and women. Those are the areas that I go to and offer resources through partnerships with housing, ABCD, and things of that nature, and other organizations that I know people that cross connect with them, and I will introduce them to them so that they could get the resources.
Okay, brother. Well, I mean, I always, when I talk to you, I'm always just happy and I'm just pleased because, you definitely, I mean, you impress me. You're definitely an intelligent brother. You make it happen. You're passionate. And I feed off a lot of that too. I really do. And so when I see you out there making it happen in spite of your hardship, and you don't even look at it as a hardship, it was a lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not even an L. But your whole thing is that you're bouncing back and you're saying, I'm going to provide the youth, the younger generation, with some general information that we might find that is basic, but it's truly needed. So I want you to tell me, without really going in full detail about, the person's identity and all, but can you tell us about some of the youth that you deal with and some of the situations you handle and where you're trying to stop them? Now, some of the people that he's working with, they have left the prison system or either the DYS system or probation or house arrest. So it's affiliation of, law, right? And that they're all coming from the law, field in a sense of, I'm sorry, you guys, in a sense of, imprisonment, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Now, when dealing with that special population, it's tricky because everybody comes from different areas. And some people you may encounter may have committed a crime against a loved one. So you must be compassionate and understand that that has nothing to do with you. You need to help this man. He needs help. So I do a lot of mentoring. I talk to a lot of young men and women. Some are active in the streets and some are not. They're looking for a way out. And I try to explain to them that education is cool. Being a father is cool. Growing old is cool.
You know it.
Because a lot of them don't even know that they could get housing they believe that it's just for women, and this is a learned behavior. So what I try to do is help them and guide them through their travels of re-education, because everything is a learned behavior. You hear it so many times. You say, see, that's what they're talking about. This is what's going on. No, that's not for me. Yes, it is. You just got to understand it and apply. Sometimes I ask guys, I'll be like, give me 20 minutes of your time. Give me 20 minutes of your time. Yo, I need some change. I don't worry about that. Just give me 20 minutes and I'll give you $20. Because you got to show them. Because some of them don't believe it. And then when they start getting responses and emails, and they be like, hey, Thomas, yeah, oh, somebody called me. Yeah, see, all it takes is one step at a time. Stop thinking you're defeated. You're not. It's just a process. If you don't have the proper resources and proper education and guidance and keyword follow through,
that's it.
You will not be able to serve the population correctly.
That's right, Mr. White. That's right. So what I want to do is I want you to tell everybody about how to get in contact with you, and also a little bit more about the nonprofit, but mainly what are some how to get in contact with you if they need resources or information on how to do what you're doing from Massachusetts in another state.
Yes. They can reach me by phone at 617-905-2474 or by email at thomas.d.white@gmail.com.
Okay, all right, Thomas. So I told everybody that this is going to be a two-part. So today we talked about re-entry, the pros and cons, what we would like to see different in re-entry, but I want to touch on it a little bit more before we close it down. But starting next week, we're going to go to part 2. And I want to talk about mental health, mental health and re-entry, right? And how a lot of people are being left behind or actually being overlooked. And I want to show that the connection of possibly how it's structured and how it's not working for the people and how it can possibly be tweaked to cater to the majority of people. That, the basic mental health issues that we can apply to and we can work towards, right? So that's what I want to do. So I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Thomas White.
Yes,
for coming on and joining us. I appreciate your information. Anyone who's looking to reach Mr. Thomas White, I want you to contact him by calling
617-905-2474.
Okay, and his organization is Universal Common Ground, Inc.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. White. I appreciate talking to you, and I will see you next week on part 2.
All right,
God
thanks
bless.
for having me. God bless.
No problem. Good night.
Good night.
So that was Mr. White, Thomas White from Universal Common Grounds, Inc. And that is a nonprofit here in Massachusetts. And one of the things Mr. White talks about is that he takes the tools and resources that he has received from the reentry program. Because remember, he's done over 20 years in prison. But one of the things he found out was that there was a lot of things lacking when it was time to give tools and resources for someone who's entering into population again. And he decided to get with me and other people and find out how can he fill the gaps in. And he's actually putting a model together along with us, and we're utilizing this model to as a pilot program to help tackle basically youth violence, reentry, and lack of. So I just want to say thanks everyone for joining me. Again, my name is Trina Marie Ruffin, and I am filling in for my host, Pastor Deborah Curry. And I want to say thank you so much, and I appreciate everyone joining me tonight. Again, you've reached Repairers of the Breach. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Find out more about our broadcast, Repair of the Breach, on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Thank you for tuning in.